Okay, thank you for being brave and tuning into this video. A lot of people are going to be offended. Hopefully not everybody will. These are just my opinions. And I want to say from the get-go that every song that I'm going to mention on this list, with the possible exception of one, which I'll get to when I get to it, are songs that I like. There are Beatles songs that I love. There are Beatles songs that I've heard a million times or more in my life. I'm just tired of hearing them. And that's what this is all about. Beatles songs that are great songs that I enjoy, but for one reason or another, at this point of my life, and it may change in the future, get better, but at this point of my life, I just don't want to hear these songs anymore. Now, before I go on, when I play, say, the record albums of the Beatles, all these songs I'll listen to. I will listen to it in the context of the album, every one of the songs. But sometimes when they come on the radio, or when they come on one of those morning Beatles shows, Breakfast with the Beatles or something like that, where they play them a million times and don't play anybody else or anything else, I'm just getting really OD'd on them, really getting tired of it. So I figured I'd make this video, but don't despair. Somewhere down the line, I intend making the opposite, the companion to this video. I'm going to do a video, the 10 Beatles songs I never get tired of hearing. Okay, so let's proceed with all that in mind. You will also, before I start, notice a common ingredient in most of these songs. Some of you are going to guess already. Okay, figure it out, and I'll say one last thing. These 10 songs are in no particular order. I just have them listed here. There's not one that's less tired than the next or whatever. This is just 10 songs in any old order I could think of them. Let's start with number one. Number one, The Long and Winding Road. Now, The Long and Winding Road has never been one of my favorite Beatles songs on any day of the year. And my favorite version is the Phil Spector version, the one with the orchestra on it and all the sounds and the music and the embellishments. I like that much better than the Stark one on Let It Be Naked. But it is a dreary kind of song, and when I start hearing Paul come on the radio and singing The Long and Winding, I said, oh, here we go. We're in for a lot of, I don't know, down feeling dross, and again, I said at the beginning that I love all these songs. I do to a point. Long and Winding Road, not as much, but the main thing is I'm just OD'd on that one. I'm tired of hearing The Long and Winding Road. When I play the Let It Be album, you can bet I'll listen to it, but not always in the mood for it. All right, now let's get number two. Second song is a song that's much more lively and upbeat, and it's a rocker. It actually rocks. It rocks every day of the year for somebody out there. Everybody out there at some point can relate to this song. And it's the song from the White Album called Birthday. I'm sick of Birthday. It's hard to believe, too, because I remember when I first discovered that song. In 1976, I had not yet heard the White Album when I was growing up. And the first album that I heard Birthday on was the compilation album, The Beatles Rock and Roll Music. And boy, did I love that song. The Beatles were down and dirty. They were rocking. They weren't singing I Want to Hold Your Hand or From Me to You or This Boy. They were rocking with Birthday. Say it's your birthday. Man, how great was that? Oh, in your face. Well, I'm sick and tired of hearing it, and I'm sick and tired that everybody's got a birthday, and you hear everybody's birthday every day of the year, especially when you're listening to, like, one of those Breakfast with the Beatles shows. I won't mention any names. Ken Dashow, when I listen to Breakfast with the Beatles here, in the New York area, and you hear every time on a Sunday morning, you'll hear birthday every single show. Why? Because somebody out there calls in, it's my birthday today. Can you play Birthday for Johnny or Mary or Gus or Brenda? I'm tired of Birthday. And I'm also tired of Birthday from Paul McCartney doing it so much in concert. That's going to be a common factor you're going to hear here as well. And case in point, song number 3. Another song that I'm sick and tired of hearing, I don't care if I don't hear this for a lot of years, is a really beautiful song, but how many times do I have to hear it now? Every time I go to concert and see Paul performing, he does this song over and over again. Can't sing it too well these days, but the song is another White Album track, and it's Blackbird. Beautiful, gorgeous song. I don't want to hear it anymore. It's that simple. Tired of it. It's completely overstayed its welcome for me. Over and over again, Blackbird. Are we finding a common thread here with these songs so far? Well, if you're finding a common thread, let me go to a song here and break it a little bit. I don't want to lay this all on Paul, so I'm going to give George a song here, okay? You probably can guess what it is, okay? This is a song that I used to play over and over again, the first time I ever heard it. Once again, in 1977, I did not have Abbey Road yet. I only had the Love Songs compilation before I even heard Abbey Road in 77. I didn't listen to Abbey Road until 78. But 1977, I played this song over and over again. First time as I was hearing it. What a gorgeous masterpiece. This is probably the greatest song, arguably, that George Harrison ever wrote. And it's, of course, the love song, the classic, Something. Just do me a favor. Don't let me hear it for a few years, okay? You know, it's great, but I just don't want to hear it. I can't say it. It's hard to believe that some of these tracks, when I first heard them, I was in absolute bliss. I was in complete heaven. Even as a young teenager when I first heard them. And I knew these guys were magic. But, familiarity sometimes breeds contempt. All right? And such is the case for this next song, number 5. Let's go to the Revolver album for a minute. And let's talk about Eleanor Rigby. All right? Throw the tomatoes or the tomatoes. Get them ready. I want to tell you a little bit to save a little face here. The first time I heard Eleanor Rigby that I recall, again, I was a boy, and I had the 45. I hadn't yet heard Revolver in its entirety. And I had the 45 of Yellow Submarine. Yellow Submarine is a song that almost made it here, by the way. There's more songs than 10 that I'm kind of tired of, and Yellow Submarine is one of them, but it didn't make the list. Anyway, and on the B-side was this wonderful song, Eleanor Rigby, and I was haunted by it. It was, what a powerful story. What a serious, ominous kind of tale. It really struck a chord with me, even as a boy. I was like, this is the Beatles doing something special. This is really good. And it is. Eleanor Rigby is a classic song. I think it's one of Paul's best songs. Maybe in his top three greatest for me. Need I say, though, all these years later, I'm kind of done with it for a while, and also hearing Paul do it everywhere he goes, in concert, over the decades, and, in the Broad Street movie and everything. Got a little tired of it, folks. All right, we got to go back to the White Album again, and another one from dear old Paulie. Obla Di, Obla Da, number 6. Life goes on, brah. Great song. Should have been a single. I think Obla Di, Obla Da would have been a fantastic single. It really is a work of pop genius, that song. And I can't think of any other way to say this. I want a break. I want a long break from Obla Di, Obla Da. I just don't want to hear it anymore. As soon as I listen to the White Album, and we get through Dear Prudence, and then we started going, and we start doing that right away. I'm like, here we go. Life goes on, but life could go on with me hearing that a little less, I think. Let me take a break here to say, I still want to hear the songs. I don't want to spend the rest of my life never hearing these songs again. Let's get that straight. Now, a lot of you by now are saying, well, we're 6 songs in, and people say, what, you're not going to pick on John Lennon? Why don't you pick on John? Doesn't John have any songs you're tired of? Yeah, he does. And the reason I only found one song, sorry. I think maybe the problem is that John Lennon is not played as much as Paul McCartney is, especially on the aforementioned Beatles breakfast shows. If the Beatles radio shows and programs would spend more time beefing up the John tracks as much as they beef up the Paul tracks and playing as much John as they do to Paul, maybe I get a chance to get tired of John, but they don't play it enough. They don't play John enough, I should say. But this song I hear too much. And I hear this song even on regular commercial radio. It's one of the few Beatles songs they play a lot, and especially that feature John, and that is Come Together. Man, I'll never forget the first time I got the Abbey Road album and it opened up with Come Together. My God, what a track. Come Together is a great track. Great song. I can't say enough about it. It's so cool. It's got such a freaking vibe to it. I just don't want to hear it anymore on the radio. Every time I turn the radio on, the Beatles song goes on. Play something else from John, will you? From the Beatles. It's always come together. Now, number 8. You knew this was going to be on there. You knew this song was going to be on there. Probably when you people read the title of this video, you probably thought this is going to be the first song he mentions. Yesterday. Yesterday. By the way, did anybody want to know how Paul wrote Yesterday? He told you 100 gazillion times. Every time there's an interview, he tells you how he wrote it. I don't want to hear how you wrote it, how you dreamt it, how this and that and the other thing, and how you asked around. Anybody hear this song? I have a tune in my head. You know what? It turned out to be a song that he would call Yesterday with the working title Scrambled Eggs. I don't want to hear it about the story anymore. I don't want to hear Yesterday anymore. When I'm in my car and I hear those beautiful, soft, melancholy, doom, 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 I'm like, oh, here it comes. Change the channel. I do that sometimes. I literally have been in the car and certain Beatles songs will come on and I just say, okay, switch. Do I love the Beatles? Yeah, I do. I'm trying to be brutally honest here, and I wonder if any of you are going to be honest in your comments and maybe make a video response. Let's go to the 9th song here. I said at the beginning, there's one Beatles song I really like the least. A lot of times when people ask me, what's your least favorite Beatles song, not counting Revolution 9, not counting You Know My Name, look up the number, not counting, Maggie May or Her Majesty Being Short or Wild Honey Pie. The song I always pick is All Together Now. All Together Now works wonderfully in Yellow Submarine. When I watch the Yellow Submarine movie, All Together Now is so well suited. It is so perfectly done. Perfect. It works so well in the movie, but when I hear it, it is just so sickeningly childish and so simple. And even John, who I love, with him, chop the tray, skip the rope, with his like overdone, like nasally British voice. I hate it. Well, that's strong language. I can listen to it, just not all the time. All Together Now has never been a favorite, excuse me. Finally, the last song that I have here. I didn't know if this was the one I'm most sick of, but it is definitely one of the Beatles songs I'm most sick of hearing. And it is Paul again. Hey, look, if Paul's going to be the most played Beatle, if he's going to be the most popular Beatle, the guy that gets most of the covers, most of people do his renditions of his songs, he's the one that's looked at as the genius, he's what looks at as the master of songs, he's going to have the most on my list too. They play him all the time. And the 10th song, and in some ways the one I'm most tired of all these, in some ways, is Michelle. Anytime I listen to Rubber Soul and we get to Michelle, I gotta say, I'll play it. I'll definitely play it. This is the Beatles, after all. It is a pretty song. But I'm just like, oh, come on. Can we get over Michelle and flip the record over? I'm just tired of Michelle. I've heard it enough. Now, before I end this video, there's a couple of songs that you might be wondering, I don't know, when you think about songs that are played or too much, or songs that maybe you're tired of hearing again and again and again, they never stop playing them. There's 2 songs. They happen to be Paul songs again. He's the man. He's the guy everybody plays. That maybe you're wondering why they're not on my list. That would be Let It Be and Hey Jude. Hey Jude, I'm more tired of than Let It Be. I'm more inclined to, if I'm going to change the radio, I may be more inclined to, when I hear Hey, and I go, I can't reach fast enough. Before he gets to the Jude, I like to change the channel. But then other times, just recently, I was listening to Hey Jude, and I loved it. I loved it right down to the very last na-na-na-na. So Hey Jude is not on this list because it is a great song. It's the Beatles' biggest hit, the longest time on the charts and all that. And it's a classic. They're all classics. But and the other one, Let It Be, I think Let It Be is one of the 2 best songs that Paul ever wrote. For my money, I always say Paul's 2 best songs are Maybe I'm Amazed, and Let It Be. And the reason why I love Let It Be so much, and maybe I'm amazed, is because Paul is doing more than just, good day, sunshine, let's take a walk, my feet are burning on the ground, and, hey, I love you, I love you, I love you, here, there, and everywhere, I want you. Instead of that, he's actually writing more about his soul, expressing his deep feelings in both Maybe I'm Amazed and Let It Be. It's more philosophical. So Let It Be, I never grow tired of hearing. And no matter how overplayed that song is, I can catch Let It Be on the radio and want to hear it. And same thing with Hey Jude, but to a lesser degree. Well, this video went on longer than I thought it would, and there it is, folks. Really await your comments and maybe your videos.